So now we will prepare ourselves to make the render. Let's press actual to be sure that we are on actual pixels. And of course, when we're making the render, probably we will zoom out by just clicking on this button and dragging. Zoom out. And then we'll position our model better. But for now, actual pixels and then pressing F 2 times, just to be sure that our model is fitted on the screen itself. What I noticed is that our model is not exactly flush with the ground, or all its parts to be flush on the ground. How do you notice that? When we press floor, our floor will be here, but in the beginning, our floor will be probably around this size, so very small. Why do I need a bigger floor, you will ask? Because when we render with shadow, let's try to render with shadow, you will notice that the shadow will fall only on the parts of the floor, not this case here. Let's see. It's cool. So it's cool, but still, you see, he is floating. Okay, so what do we need to do is go to disable perspective, just drag and shift snap the side view, and let's increase the size of the grid so we can see exactly where it goes. We go to draw and then down here you see grid size. It's very difficult to notice this grid size because there are a lot of things here. This controls the perspective here, and by default is 50. This is new in ZBrush. Before that, the perspective was controlled by this angle of view. If we disable this camera by clicking on it, we can work with the perspective here, but this is more convenient. So we go to draw, and then down here, grid size. I always search it for about a few seconds until I found it, but still, we'll just increase it a bit, and that's it. And now you see that in ZBrush, the floor, this here, the floor, is exactly where the lower part of the most bottom subdivision tool is. So now the cape is the lowest part in all the model, and it determines where the floor is. So we have to just lift it up a bit. What do we do is, let's see, put it here, then click on the cape to select it. Let's see, yes, we're on the cape. Shift D to go down subdivisions, or just from here you can go down, and then we mask, control drag, masking here. Then when we mask this just piece of it, the lower piece, we control click on the object a few times to just make it feather so it's not sharp. Then we control click to reverse it, then control click again to feather it even more. So it's now it's a lot feathered, and it will be easy to just go and with our pivot here, place our pivot here with Alt. We can, move with Alt. Yeah, I already told you that, but I'm trying to make everything as clean as possible. So now we can see we have to lift it up until probably this place here. And you see another cape here, but when we move, it will disappear because it's kind of a ghost image, I'm not sure. So now it's kind of good, but we want to also move with the big move brush, a bit like this, so it lays on the ground flatter. I will try to do this here. Probably we'll do this here, and in this area also. Just manually pull it and push until it's exactly the lowest point of the cape is exactly at the lowest point of the feet, which will give us, okay, when we move a little bit, it refreshes the floor, and now we see we're almost there. We can lift it up a little bit more, but not too much. Okay, now we see our feet are not exactly flush with the ground because they're not exactly straight in the bottom part. So what we'll do is control shift, I'm pressing them, then I go here and I'm on clip curve. You will be on select rect probably, so you click on the select rect and select clip curve from here, or if you already have selected it in this session, it will be on the quick pick. So we select the clip curve and then drag from right to left, because if you drag the other way around, it will cut, it will be awful. So from right to left, and just okay, but this has cut the cape. So now we go to the legs and do the same for the legs, cut them exactly where the cape is cut, then move a little bit and everything will be exactly flush on the ground. And this is very important, because if we want to have, let's turn on the perspective, if you want to have a shadow on the ground, it will be good to make this. And now let's see how the shadow will look. Probably the model will not float anymore, which is completely perfect for us. Yes, it's very flush to the ground. Of course, something else I want to make is just get the legs, because it will be easier for me to work, and just smooth this with shift drag here to smooth a bit. And then with the high polish brush, I'll try to make kind of a, I don't know if I will succeed, but I will try. No, it's difficult. We have to go maybe in the lower subdivisions and smooth it. Just on the edges, smooth. And then go with the high polish brush to make this kind of a bevel. And this bevel will be good because there will be a little bit of shadow around that bevel that will give a better look of as our character is stepped on the ground. Like, very good. Hopefully, at least. I'm not sure that this will work exactly as planned. I will move this a bit with the move brush and Alt. And okay, go up subdivisions, smooth this things up, they don't look that good. And I think we're okay. Let's see. Get the floor in. And now I think we are fine. So I will go to the cape, of course. Get rid of the mask. Press D a few times to subdivide it to the last subdivision. And then go to zoom. And then F. And just position it as I want to the final render. And the final render will be similar to our reference image, probably like this. Let's remove the floor just to see the composition. He will look a little bit on the left, and his sword is big, so he will be positioned on the shot a little bit on the right, which is completely cool. Floor, and let's see it with the shadows on. I think this will be our render. We could do it, I think. We'll see. So the main thing is, when you make the render, because we will make few things about the render, don't move the camera. And I will do something which you don't have to do, but I will have to do it since I need to have this exact position in order to be able to go back to it if something happened with the video or something. So, but I will tell you how I do it. So we go to File and Save As, which will save a project for you. And I will save it here in Rend. So it will be Rend ZPR. Okay, save. And now the project will be saved. It will require a bit more time, but no, it's obviously light project. So I've saved it, and now I will go to this view. For example, this view I like. It's kind of good, although maybe his legs should be more straight, and we will look him a little bit from the bottom. Yes, maybe it's like this. Yeah, I need to adjust my view just to be sure that his silhouette is the best. So take the floor, put it in, make sure it's good. And now we go to a document, the uplink properties here, and I will click Cust 1. this will save my view. And I will save it as view. Save. So now if I move my my model, I can go to a document, the uplink properties, press cust 1, and it will apply the same view as before, which is very, very useful. When I load my Z project, and I save it as Z project because I want to save my resolution too, because this view that I have saved will work only with this resolution here. With other resolution, it will work, but it will not position it correctly. So yeah, that's probably a little bit overkill that I'm telling you all these things. So if you want, you can check that out. If you don't want, you can check it out later or never. It's your choice. But still, I did it. So now we will have all those things when we render. But first, I need a flat pass on the render, so without shadows. I will disable shadows from render properties here. So we go to render window, render properties, and disable shadows, because I think they're enabled by default, but we disable them, and then we make a render, which is just pressing BPR here, and it will be very fast because we don't have shadows, and it's fine. Now we have composite or this. They are pretty similar, so which one you choose, it's up to you. So I will get this composite one, and I will save it in our rend BPR composite PSD. This will be the only PSD that I save. The other ones, depth I don't need, and mask I will save. But mask I can save it every time. I will change it to TIFF. That's just my preference. You can save as PSDs, no problem. Save. And then we don't click on the area here because we may change the view like I did. We can go to cust 1. We need the same view exactly. So you will be better to check this out, because if you change the view, you will not be able to do the same things. So shadows and ambient occlusion, I will turn them on. Ambient occlusion, I will make sure that it's 400 resolution. I will even increase it a bit, 5. And then I will press rend BPR, and ZBrush will rend all those images here will be the size of our canvas, not the size that you see here because it's zoom out. It will be 5, it will be 250 or 2500 pixels, 2500, I like this. Yeah, the Americans, they always like to tell thousands by hundreds. So 2500 is the best, yeah, no. So 2500. But 2500 is not bad. So when it rends, I don't know why it's so slow, but it is so slow, so it's cool. It's cool. If it wants to be slow, it's fine by me. We have floor, we have shadow, we have ambient occlusion, we have those things. We'll get shadow. It will be BPR shadow. We'll save it. We'll get ambient occlusion. Just click on them and it will be opened just to save it. Save TIFF, BPR AO, I'm okay. Yeah, the other AO that we have saved before, we want to replace it, yes. And then floor we don't want. Mask we have, so we are pretty cool. Let's open Photoshop now. And this is Photoshop, if you haven't opened it, but I will guide you through the process of doing things in Photoshop. So, in order to put images in Photoshop, you'll have to, what I do is I open my file, my folder here in Internet Explorer, for example, or whatever, and I just drag files into ZBrush. For example, into Photoshop. For example, we want now first the BPR composite. I will drag it and drop it here. Not here, but I will drop it in this area here. Just in this area. When it disappeared, it, I don't know. So, up, it's here. And it's cool. Let's see the 100 zoom. Control, with control space, you're zooming. With space, you are just dragging around. So, we have this, which is kind of cool. I will zoom it out a bit, and now it's fine. Okay. Next thing, we go again to our folder, but I will move it to my other screen because it will be easier for me. When it's on the other screen, it doesn't disappear below Photoshop after Photoshop became active, so it's better. So I will drag the mask here. And what we'll do with the mask? We will Control A, which will select everything, and then Control C, which will copy everything. Control C is copy, of course. We'll go to the channels, make a new one with this icon here below, and then we'll Control V to place the mask that we have copied just and place it on this alpha channel. And then when we Control click on the alpha channel, you will notice that we have selected only the inner part, which is the white. Then we go to the RGB, and then we Control J on the keyboard to just copy the content of within the selection to the upper layer, and now we have this separated from the background. Very good. Claps, thank you. Yeah, that's what we do with the mask. We can disable it or close it. We can go to the shadow, put it here. Very good shadow. But the shadow will proceed a little bit with cautious there. We will Control A, Control C, which will select everything and then copy it. Control A is all, select all. And then we will make a new layer by pressing this little button here. And then we will place the mask in this layer. Then we will Control click on this which has already transparency, and it will select only the non-transparent things on the layer, and we will go up to the mask layer and then Control J. But we will keep this one down. What we'll do with it, we will go to this brush, magic wand, which is W, the short key, and we'll click to select only the white areas. Then we'll click here also, because we want to select only the white areas. And since our tolerance is pretty big, 23, we are selecting parts of the model too, but we don't care that much. So we'll press delete, and we have deleted parts of the mask, so it looks like this now. But this is only for the floor. It's not for anything else. So we'll put it below our object, below our guy, and then we will make another layer, which we will drag below everything, and we'll fill with some color. For example, a little bit like maybe like this. How to fill with the current color? So I selected the color here. How to fill the layer? Alt delete is filling the layer with this color. Then we'll go to this layer that doesn't look like anything, and we will make it multiply. You see, we can preview the things, but multiply is the best for us. And then I will press E on my keyboard, and nothing is happening, which is very strange because it has to take us to the brush, the eraser. E is eraser, but since I'm recording, sometimes those shortcuts aren't working. This is what we need. Then we put our model, and suddenly it has shadow. We of course can adjust the opacity here of our shadow because we are on that layer. We can adjust it so it's a little bit not that visible, and we're good. Now we go to the layer of the shadow itself, which we can again make multiply, and now you will see shadow on the object. Now you see the mode is here. So this is normal, which is normal. This is multiply, and this is multiply because it is shadow. And the top, since it's too much shadow, I will just lower the opacity of it a bit, like this. Then what I'll do, I want to try something here, but let's continue in the next video because we are out of time for this. And save your files often in Photoshop, in ZBrush, save it. Don't let the program beats you, because sometimes every program crashes, and sometimes they don't make saves automatically. But Photoshop is very good with this these days, ZBrush also, but sometimes, rarely, it's good to save. So See you in the next video, of course.